Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough for the Supernova 9-hole cup here in Golf Clash the game. This is Master Division and I've been taking all the videos to already now show you the way to attack the holes playing from the third tee. Bartholomew Cove is a very difficult course to play from any tees, and every hole is difficult in its own way. So you won't see many drops here, but at least in this playthrough you will see drops on more or less every hole that will give you an idea on how to play them from the third tee. Make sure that you do hit the thumbs up button, also subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. That would help the channel a lot and I would be very thankful if you can do that. For those of you that do want to take their next step in their game, can join patreon.com/golfclashtommy and get our ultimate tournament guides for pro, expert or master, or the exclusive tour text guide for tour 7 up to tour 13, and improve your game even more and win more, which is the reason why we're playing this game. Follow the info box on the right hand side to get the club distance adjustment, elevation adjustment, also what ball and club type I suggest to play with. Have in mind that those are all suggestions and you don't have to follow it if you don't want to, but there's always a plan behind it. So let's go to hole number 1. Hole number 1, here I would recommend to play with a power 4 ball, as we want to push this ball up and play with a long iron towards the pin. 5.9 top spin and 1 right spin, and we're gonna start in complete max distance, and you can see here now that we're using yellow rain to be by the left side of the rough. Apocalypse 7 slightly overlap, Apoc 5 and 6 half of the yellow rain inside the rough. Adjust max plus 10 P4. And once we have done that, we shall push up to max. Pushing up to max, then it's time to take the shot. The goal here is once again to get into long iron range. We don't want to roll into the rough, we don't want to drop too short and have to use a sniper. Great ball to the right, that's a little bit scary, but we're bouncing nicely on the fairway and get the ball down the fairway. Perfect distance, we're looking to be somewhere between 405 and 415. Second shot, B52, and now we're gonna use the plus yardage of our landing spot to give ourselves a slider. So we're gonna go 5% elevation. We're not gonna use min distance number, obviously. We're gonna use mid distance here. We're gonna change that. Oh, there we go, mid distance. So here you can see here that I'm using 1 backspin, ball guideline to the hole. We have +8. So from +8, we're gonna play 85% slider with a 5% elevation, power 4 numbers. Be careful when you pull down into the bunker, because it's very hard to pull straight when you do that. Adjustment is made, center the ball and use a little bit of overpower. And the reason we use the overpower is to make sure that we don't have to push up anything. We are compensating from dropping from a higher to a lower point. Bounce into the rough. Dead center, no, not dead center, but close to it at least. An eagle to start with on hole number 1. Very important. This is a tough par 4, but the eagle is definitely makeable. For hole number 2, here we're going to push hard for the hole-in-one by doing the rough bump. I'm using 2.6 top spin and 3 right spin, and you can see here now that I'm looking to have the ball guideline to go just through the hole with the inner ring slightly overlapping there to the left, or just to rephrase myself, the ball guideline to go over the left side of the hole with the inner ring slightly overlapping the rough line. Adjustment here is 1-to-1, that's why I have no elevation in the info box. So 1-to-1 means to adjust 7.6 rings for 7.6 miles per hour. When the adjustment is done, center the ball and hit perfect, and this is going to be a good chance for an hole-in-one. I would consider hole number 2 here to be by far the best chance we do have for an hole-in-one if you compare hole number 2 and hole number 6 and 8. We get this one to take a swirly in, but that doesn't really matter, just that we do drop. Obviously, the rough bump will be in play with all type of wind directions, but the adjustment might be slightly different, and that's the same with the spins. And as you can see here, this works in direct headwind. So rough bump is definitely the play in my opinion. And once again, for those of you that do want to take a super safe shot with no risk, then you use backspin and land on the fairway on the left and bounce the ball up towards the pin. You will drop the hole in one extremely rarely, but it will always be a safe birdie. Hole number 3, and we're gonna play on the right hand side. Even though the wind is not really that favorable, we start at the top of plus 28 with the white ring by the rough line. I'm using 6 topspin and 2 left spin, or at least that's what I would like us to use. You can use more if you want, but 6 bars of topspin, that would cover a pocket 5 and better clubs. Adjustment, max plus 10 P5, and now we're gonna play max overpower, and we're going to play max curl to the left. See here, I'm switching in the end to go with 6 bars of topspin, which is the amount that I would use in this type of wind in general. Max overpower, max curl, as said, try to hit perfect. This obviously is not an easy shot, but you do have some room for great balls here too, especially for great left. We're looking to be somewhere around 400 to 410 yards. Second shot, we do have the B52, and now we're going to do the same as we do on hole number 1. We're going to use the plus yardage from the landing position that we get. And what I mean with that is that you set the spins, aim at the hole as we would like, and then we read the plus yardage, which is plus 12. The plus 12 yard mark is going to give us 80% slider with 35% elevation P5 numbers. Very important here when it comes to the B52 or the Grizzly for that matter. It's going to be a lot of rings, so make sure that you give yourself time to pull all those rings so you don't time out. Center the ball and hit perfect. A perfect ball here will have a chance, but I would say that this is a par 5 together with the other 2 par 5s of the Porthello Cove, which is not going to be, it's not going to be a gimme drop. So you're going to have to do everything correct to give yourself the chance. But if you do everything correct, you do have the chance of dropping an albatross right at pin like I do there in the video. But if I would miss, I wouldn't lose any sleep over that, because again, it's a tough par 5. Hole number 4. Here we do hope to get a tailwind, or at worst a direct crosswind. We start at the top of plus 16, which is max line with a power 3 ball. 7 topspin, and we will here adjust for max plus 10 P4 numbers. Once we have done that, we will push up to max after our adjustment. And then it's time to go with both overpower and with a curl. So we do want to use curl here to try to push the ball over to the middle island into the rough. That little patch that you will see once it bounces like that, you will see we bounce into the rough to roll out onto that island. So we do want to have the second bounce into the rough and roll through all that rough to get out to the fairway. The reason we're pushing this hard to get there is because we do want to have a good chance for an eagle. And this is, as the rest of the Porthello Cove, it's tough par 4s, tough par 3s, tough par 5s. So you're going to have to take some risks to get into a spot where the eagle is the most more likely to get. So here I'm doing a rock check. So I'm having the bullseye by where the rock meets the rough, and you can see that was plus 3. Now I'm aiming with the ball guideline to go through the hole. It's very tough to see with the yellow color there on this very bright green. So zoom in so you make sure that you do see. 15% elevation, and from the plus 3 yard mark we play 72% slider. Always pull over the bullseye with the thorn and then try to hit perfect. The goal here is to go past the pin and roll back like that. And we're dropping this one for an eagle. Very pleased to drop this shot with a backspin play like this, but I do believe that this is the way to play to avoid having to play the rough bump or having to play on that very sloped fairway before the green starts, which will only create issues. So pack the Thorn, also make sure to pack the Amazon to give yourself a lot of backspin, so if you don't roll through the rough, you still have an easy save from there. Hole number 5, one of my least favorite par 5s in the whole game. And we're gonna play with an Apocalypse, we're gonna play with a power 5 ball. Here, if you can use a ball with more wind resistance, that would definitely be preferred. You see that I'm using the inner ring to be just by the rough line to the right, max top spin and 2 right spin. Adjustment is max plus a 10 P5, and also we have made adjustment. We shall go with max overpower and max curl to the right. The goal is to push the ball as far up the fairway on the right side. Perfect ball. And we see the ball bounce on the fairway, just lovely, and then it gets up the other fairway here. Unfortunately, I would say that playing a power slice or something like this, you need to know what you're doing, because otherwise it's going to be a problem with all the water that is in play. Second shot, we play with the sniper. Unfortunately, I will miss this one pretty decently to the right, so the adjustment that I'm doing here in the video is definitely wrong. But it gives you an example on how to play. 2 left spin, and using a little bit of backspin here. And you can see that ball guideline is going slightly through the hole. Here I would estimate my distance. I would play 10% elevation. Alright, making the adjustment, and then we're gonna try to hit perfect. Center the ball, hit perfect. Great, right, and that's obviously a reason to why this ball becomes a little bit too much right here. A perfect ball would have been fairly close. I still think though that a perfect would have missed just right, but still would have been close though. Hole 5, very tough par 5. An eagle is nothing to be sad about. Hole number 6 is gonna be another very tough par 3 to get anything else than a birdie on. I would say that the rough bump is going to be the best chance that we do have, but it is risky because it's very easy to miss the rough and then you're gonna get yourself directly into the water. But 4 left spin and 4.3 backspin, you can see that I'm starting at complete max distance with a power 1 ball, has to be said. So I'm starting at complete max distance with a power 1 ball. Then I'm switching to a Kingslayer to give myself the 4 side spin. You can switch to a Wind 5 side spin 4 ball if you like to. Maximum distance with a 35% over adjustment. That's a lot of rings, and therefore I did pull twice. Outside wall, a left curl to push the ball even more to the left and make sure to hit perfect. If you do it perfect, it will clip the rough like that, and it will roll in a nice speed towards the pin. And in this case, we're getting a hole in 1. Once again though, hole number 6 is probably one of the tougher par 3s there is in the complete game. And especially when going aggressive like this, the out of bounds is definitely in play. For those of you that have no interest going for a hole in 1, then you can use a lot of backspin with your driver and land on the fairway to the right and bounce the ball up towards the pin. That will not be a hole in 1 if you're not super duper lucky, but it should at least secure the birdie and you can move on without taking any risks. Hole number 7 should be played as cheap as possible, so I would strongly recommend you to play free to play in any type of crosswinds and tailwinds, because now we're gonna go for the green area. Not maybe on the green, but at least to be very close to green. I'm using the blue ring by the rough line to the right at complete max distance with a POC 8. A POC 7 overlaps approximately 20%. A POC 5 and 6 overlaps 50%. 4.5 bar, 4.3 top spin and 3 left spin, adjustment max plus 10 P3, and we play with full curl to the left and max overpower and slow needle. Those of you that can play with a Kingslayer that has side spin 4, I would recommend to do that instead, just to push the ball a little bit closer to green. But in the end, this one comes in very lovely with a Kingmaker. Now we have a short wedge to pin and can lock in the eagle. If you do have a direct headwind here, you can't reach over the rough and sand, then you will have to lay up. Then you lay up on that fairway on the right and you get yourself a long iron towards the green. Unfortunately, if that happens, that's going to be a super boring way of playing this hole. So I hope we do get some tailwind or crosswind at least, so we can push the ball over. So for hole number 8, we're going to play a no movement. What that means is that you shall not touch the target until it's time to adjust the reins. 4.1 backspin and 1 right spin is what we are using. And now we're playing medium distance with a 5% over adjustment, power 1 ball setting. You can see here that I'm playing with a wind 4 ball such as a Centurion. This is a free to play ball. You can obviously play with a wind 5 ball here too and reduce the wind a little bit more and make this shot a little bit easier. Alright, so there we do have the adjustment being made. Make sure that you do center the ball properly and that you do hit perfect. Obviously on par 3s you're going to have to adapt for wind angle tweaks, or you're going to struggle big time, especially on a tough course such as the Porthello Cove, to consistently get an hole-in-one. It rolls nicely down. We think we're gonna get an hole-in-one, but we are not. Just taking a very slow 180 around the hole. But hole number 8 here is most definitely going to create many pars on your on player scorecards. The reason for that is the very weird green. It's very easy to roll off the green and be into the rough or into the sand. So even though this is a chance for an hole-in-one, we should really just see this as a birdie is fine, and trying to avoid making a par by any means. Hole 9, in any type of headwind, I would say that we're playing this one purely for an eagle. The albatross will not be in play at all. Starting at the top of plus 16, which is max P3 line. 2 right and 5.8 top spin. Max plus 10 P5 numbers. And here we're gonna have to pay attention on how many rings we do pull into overpower. So we're gonna play with 2 rings less than what we adjust into, and that was 2, and that was like 2.5. So we should be going with just half a ring of overpower if we would be doing this one correct. You can see here that we're using maybe a little bit too much, in my opinion. 1.5 ball curl to the right, and I should have decreased the overpower just slightly. And the reason I want to do that is because I don't want to have a glitch roll into the rough. Now I'm lucky to having dead bounces, but there is a glitch roll there, and we need to make sure to not catch that and roll into the rough. Second shot, now we're gonna play way out to the left using 5 bars of backspin to right spin. You can see here now that I'm aiming like way left of green, and the reason I do that is to give myself more fairway to play on, because the more right I'm moving, the higher up the rough are onto the fairway, so which means that we would need more distance if we're gonna play more right. So I'm moving left, using curl to compensate, and then try to hit perfect. Those of you that do feel comfortable with a hook here in some way, then you can do that as well. Goal here is to land close to green or on the green and get ourselves a safe way of getting the eagle, which we did. In tailwind on this hole, I would recommend to not send it. It's a very difficult hole to send with so much water, but laying up and playing a rough bump more to the right by using your cataclysm instead, that would definitely be a possibility. But hole number 9, tough albatross to get, and I would say the eagle is still tough as well if the wind is wrong. Thank you so much everybody for watching this playthrough for Master Division with various wind. As you will notice, I've been using older videos from the Open 9-hole Cup to give you the best possible advice before the tournament starts. Porthello Cove is a tough course, one of the tougher ones in the game, and you won't see many drops on these holes. But I hope you enjoyed it, I hope you learned something, and make sure to comment in the comment section below if you do have any questions. If you do want to get the ultimate tournament guide for Pro, Expert or Master, you go to patreon.com/golfclashtommy, and that's also for those of you that do want to get the exclusive tour text guides. Tour 11 and Tour 12 are already ready for you when it comes to the new tour reshuffling. Tour 13 will be done soon, followed along by Tour 9 and Tour 10, so make sure to sign up and get the best guides on the market. Thank you once again for watching, and good luck in your Golf Clash game.